In several of his surviving speeches, Demostenes, the great Greek orator, also deals with banking, though he does not do so in such a complete, profound and detailed way as Isocrates does in Trapezitica. He does give us some additional information. Demostenes was a fantastic orator. He ended up being central to the spirit of liberty in ancient Greece, against the dictatorship of Philip of Macedon, who did away with the climate of freedom in the Greek city-states. Incidentally, with the encouragement of philosophers themselves, the usual collusion between authorities and bankers began to emerge in Greece between authorities and philosophers. Throughout history, thinkers and intellectuals have traditionally almost always wound up defending the public authorities. The much-lauded Socrates continuously finds fault with Athens and presents Sparta as an ideal model. And that is not to mention Plato, his main disciple, who praises a state governed dictatorially from above by philosophers. That is, by him. Even Aristotle was the private tutor of a paranoid madman, Alexander the Great, who was actually the son of the most powerful dictator of the period, Philip of Macedon. I say this to give you a general idea. Demosthenes alone kept the flame of freedom burning in his time, and in his speeches we find various references to banking activities. Also important are the references Demosthenes makes to a fledgling theory of the cycle, because they indicate that the activity of bankers rests on confidence, and that if things go even a little wrong, the banking business collapses like a house of cards. Various studies have shown that bankers in Greece knew they should maintain a 100% reserve ratio on demand deposits, although on many occasions they violated that principle for their own benefit by appropriating a portion of deposits for their own business dealings. There is even historical evidence of some of the bubbles caused by this dishonest behavior of bankers. For example, in the years 377 and 376 BC, there was a crisis which led to the failure of the banks of Timodemus, Sosinomus, and Aristolochus, among others. Generally, such crises had a trigger. In this case, it was the attack of Sparta and the victory of Thebes. And in these financial crises, notice how significant this is, we are talking about the 4th century BC, we find historical evidence of the first rescue plans established by public authorities for banks. Well, a very severe banking crisis hit Ephesus after the revolt against Mithridates, and as a result, the authorities conducted the first rescue operation in favor of private bankers. It consisted of an express privilege which gave bankers a 10-year deferment on the return of demand deposits. In other words, the situation of bankers was becoming desperate. People were losing confidence in them. People went to withdraw their money and found it gone. It became clear that bankers had violated general legal principles. At that point, bankers turned to the ruler, and the ruler saved them. How? Instead of going after them, throwing them in jail, or hanging them by their necks, he granted them a postponement. He went along with them. He gave them the privilege of waiting 10 years to honor the obligation to return deposits. It was a sort of corralito, or bank freeze, like the one in Argentina during the time of Minister Cavallo.